What if Qui-Gon Jinn became Emperor instead of Palpatine? Let's explore the depths of it in the video. The red blade pierces through Qui-Gon's abdomen, and he gasps as Darth Maul twists the lightsaber with a sadistic grin. Pain explodes through his body, white-hot and all-consuming. His legs buckle, and he begins to fall. But as the Sith apprentice prepares to deliver the killing blow, raising his double-bladed weapon high, Obi-Wan's scream echoes through the Theed generator chamber. The young Padawan surges forward with unprecedented fury, his face twisted in anguish and rage. In that split second of distraction, as Maul's yellow eyes flicker toward the approaching Jedi, Qui-Gon channels every ounce of remaining strength into the Force. His hand shoots up, trembling with effort, and Maul is violently thrown backward. The Zabrak's concentration breaks, his body hurtling through the air and slamming against the far wall with a sickening crunch. Obi-Wan doesn't hesitate. He leaps over the laser gate that had separated him from the fight, his lightsaber already descending in a perfect arc. Maul recovers just in time to block, but he's disoriented, off balance. The young Jedi presses his advantage with a fury his master has never seen in him. Strike after strike rains down on the Sith, each blow driven by fear for his master's life and rage at the monster who threatens it. Maul snarls, trying to create distance, but Obi-Wan is relentless. He spins, his blade cutting low, then high, then low again. The Sith apprentice parries desperately, his dual blade spinning in complex defensive patterns. But Obi-Wan has learned from the best. And more importantly, he's learned from watching Maul nearly kill that teacher. He knows the Zabrak's patterns now, can anticipate his moves. The killing blow comes almost too quickly. Obi-Wan feints high, and when Maul raises his blade to block, the Jedi drops low and sweeps his lightsaber horizontally across the Sith's midsection. The crimson blade cuts through Maul's body, bisecting him cleanly. The Zabrak's eyes widen in shock and hatred as his severed halves tumble into the reactor shaft below. Obi-Wan rushes to his master's side, his hands already reaching for Qui-Gon's wound. Blood seeps through the Jedi Master's robes, dark and spreading. "Master, hold on. Help is coming. Please, just hold on." Qui-Gon's hand grips Obi-Wan's shoulder weakly, his breathing labored and shallow. "The boy, Obi-Wan, promise me you'll train him." "I promise, Master, I promise. Just stay with me. Please, the Force, it's showing me something. So much, too much." His eyes flutter closed, and Obi-Wan feels panic surge through him. He reaches out through their training bond, pouring his own life energy into his master, desperately trying to keep him anchored to the living world. Qui-Gon's presence in the Force flickers like a candle in a storm, but it doesn't go out. Medical droids arrive moments later. Their repulsor lifts humming as they carefully extract Qui-Gon from the generator room. Obi-Wan never leaves his side, his hand clasping his master's, even as the droids work with mechanical efficiency. Captain Panaka and his security forces secure the area, and Queen Amidala herself comes to see the Jedi who saved her world. As they rush Qui-Gon to the Naboo medical facilities, the Jedi Master floats in a place between life and death. The Force surrounds him, no longer the gentle presence he's always known, but something vast and terrible and beautiful beyond comprehension. Visions assault him, unbidden and unavoidable. He sees the Republic, that ancient democracy he's served all his life, crumbling from within, not from external attack, but from rot at its very core. He sees senators selling their votes, corporations strangling entire systems, bureaucrats more concerned with procedure than justice. He sees the Jedi Order, blind and complacent, serving politicians rather than the Force itself. They've become enforcers of the status quo, too afraid to challenge authority, too rigid to adapt. The visions deepen, and he sees a darkness rising, not from without, but from within, the very heart of the Senate. A face appears, kindly and grandfatherly, with concerned eyes and a gentle smile. Chancellor Palpatine. But beneath that mask, Qui-Gon sees an abyss of malevolence, a darkness so complete it seems to swallow light itself. The Chancellor is Sith, the master that Maul served, and he's been manipulating the Republic for decades. But the visions don't stop there. Qui-Gon sees himself, older and harder, standing over Palpatine's corpse. He sees a galaxy united under his rule, order imposed through strength and wisdom. He sees the Jedi reformed, no longer shackled by dogma. He sees peace, but enforced through methods that make him shudder. Is this a possible future? A warning or a temptation? When Qui-Gon finally awakens 3 days later, his eyes open with new clarity. The medical facility is quiet, the soft hum of monitoring equipment the only sound. Sunlight streams through the windows, painting the white walls with golden light. His body aches, but he's alive. More importantly, he's changed. Obi-Wan sits beside his bed, his head bowed in meditation or perhaps sleep. The young man's face is drawn with exhaustion and worry. When Qui-Gon shifts slightly, Obi-Wan's eyes snap open immediately. Master, thank the Force. I thought. How long? 3 days. The healers said it was touch and go. Your injuries were severe. If we'd been even a few minutes later, Qui-Gon carefully sits up, ignoring the protest of his healing muscles. His hand moves to his abdomen, feeling the fresh scar tissue beneath the Bacta-soaked bandages. The boy, Anakin, safe. He destroyed the Trade Federation control ship. Master. A 9-year-old flew a starfighter into battle and saved us all. The Council has been waiting to speak with you about him. And about the Sith. Qui-Gon's jaw tightens. The Council. They want to deny Anakin training. He can feel it. They're afraid of the boy, of his power and his age. But there are more pressing concerns. Tell them I need more time to recover. Tell them I'll give my report when I'm ready. There is something I must do first. Master, what's wrong? You seem different. I've seen things, Obi-Wan. The Force has shown me truths I wish I could unsee, but I must verify them before I speak. I need you to trust me, as you've always trusted me. Obi-Wan hesitates, sensing something in his master he's never felt before. A darkness, yes, but also a terrible purpose. Still, his loyalty runs deep. Always, Master. What do you need? Over the following weeks, as Qui-Gon continues his physical recovery, he conducts a parallel investigation. He uses contacts he's made over decades of service, information brokers and smugglers who owe him favors. He reaches out to the criminal underworld, to slicers and spies who traffic in secrets. And he follows the threads of darkness he can sense through the Force, tracing them like a hunter following blood through snow. Every lead points to the same conclusion. Chancellor Palpatine is not what he seems. Qui-Gon discovers financial records, carefully hidden but not hidden enough, showing the Chancellor funding both sides of conflicts. He finds communication intercepts suggesting Palpatine knew about the Trade Federation blockade before it happened. He senses the dark side lingering in places the Chancellor has been. A residue that only someone attuned to such things could detect. But Qui-Gon also sees something else in his investigation. He sees that Palpatine's rise has been possible because the Republic is fundamentally broken. The Senate is paralyzed by 1,000 competing interests, unable to act decisively even in crisis. The Jedi have become so entangled with politics that they've lost sight of their true purpose. Corruption runs so deep that it's become the foundation of the entire system. Even if he exposes Palpatine, Qui-Gon realizes another will take his place. The rot goes too deep. The cancer has spread too far. Cutting out one tumor won't save the patient. This realization leads Qui-Gon to a dark place in his mind. He meditates for hours, sometimes days, wrestling with possibilities that would have seemed unthinkable before his brush with death. The Jedi Code echoes in his thoughts, but so do his visions. There is no emotion, there is peace. But peace for whom? The corrupt senators living in luxury while systems starve? There is no ignorance. There is knowledge. But what good is knowledge if you're forbidden to act on it? One evening, as Naboo's twin moons rise over Theed, Qui-Gon makes a decision that will change the fate of the galaxy. He requests a private audience with Chancellor Palpatine, using the pretext of discussing Naboo's recovery and the Trade Federation's prosecution. He tells Obi-Wan and the Naboo officials that he wants to ensure the blockade perpetrators face justice. The meeting is arranged for the Chancellor's private residence on Naboo, a lavish estate overlooking the planet's famous waterfalls. As Qui-Gon approaches the building, he can feel the dark side emanating from it, like heat from a fire. It's subtle, expertly concealed, but unmistakable to someone who knows what to look for. The Chancellor greets him warmly in a study lined with ancient texts and artifacts. Qui-Gon recognizes some of them as Sith relics, displayed openly as if they were mere curiosities. The audacity of it is breathtaking. Ah, Master Jin, I'm so pleased to see you've recovered from your ordeal. The Republic owes you a great debt. Without your bravery, Naboo would still be suffering under the Trade Federation's tyranny. Qui-Gon closes the door behind him and activates a small device concealed in his robes. It creates a dampening field, blocking any surveillance or recording equipment. Palpatine's eyebrow rises slightly at this, but his friendly expression doesn't falter. You can drop the act, Sidious. I know what you are. For a long moment, silence hangs between them. The Chancellor's smile remains fixed on his face, but something changes in his eyes. They become calculating, assessing this new threat. I'm afraid I don't know what you mean, Master Jedi. Perhaps your injuries have affected your judgment. Qui-Gon steps forward, his hand resting on his lightsaber but not igniting it yet. I felt your presence through the Force during my recovery. The visions were quite clear. I've traced your manipulations, the financial records, the communications, the blockade, the vote of no confidence, your apprentice Maul. All of it leads back to you. The silence that follows is heavy with tension. Palpatine's mask of concern and confusion gradually fades, replaced by something ancient and amused. When he speaks again, his voice is different, darker, layered with power. Impressive. Very few have ever seen through my deception. Dooku suspected, but never knew for certain. The Jedi Council, with all their vaunted wisdom, remain completely blind. I underestimated you, Qui-Gon Jinn. Tell me, why haven't you run to your precious council with this information? Qui-Gon's expression is hard, carved from stone, because I've seen what you've seen. Sidious. The Republic is dying, rotting from the inside out. The Senate is a nest of corruption and incompetence, more concerned with procedure than people. The Jedi have become so mired in politics and dogma that we've forgotten our true purpose. We maintain the status quo, even when that status quo is built on suffering and injustice. Palpatine leans back in his chair, genuinely intrigued now. His fingers steeple beneath his chin as he studies the Jedi Master. How refreshing. A Jedi who can see beyond the rigid confines of the code. But surely you don't approve of my methods. You're a monster, Qui-Gon says flatly. You orchestrated a war that killed thousands. You manipulated a queen and her people. You would have destroyed Naboo to advance your political career. But, and he forces himself to say the words, you're not wrong about the galaxy needing change. Palpatine's eyes gleam with interest. Then what do you propose, Master Jedi? If you know what I am, surely you've come to stop me, to cut me down and drag my corpse before the Senate as proof of your heroism. Qui-Gon shakes his head slowly, each movement feeling like a betrayal of everything he's been taught. I've come to make a proposition. You want to reshape the galaxy, to impose order on chaos. I've seen your future through the Force, the empire you would build. It's a future of tyranny and suffering, where fear replaces justice and oppression replaces law. But what if there was another path? What if we could transform the Republic into something better, without destroying everything good about it? Palpatine rises from his seat, circling Qui-Gon like a predator assessing prey. His presence in the Force is overwhelming this close, a black hole that seems to absorb light. And you think I would share power with a Jedi? That I would abandon my plans for your noble ideals? I think you're intelligent enough to recognize an opportunity when it presents itself. You need the Jedi's legitimacy to succeed. Right now, we're your enemy, or we will be once someone else eventually discovers your identity. But if you had a Jedi Master advocating for change, supporting necessary reforms, arguing for decisive action, your path becomes much easier. And what do you gain from this devil's bargain? Time and influence. I want to reform the Jedi Order, to free us from the Senate's control. I want to train Anakin Skywalker without the Council's interference, to teach him the balance the prophecy speaks of, rather than the rigid dogma that's strangling our order. And I want to actually help people, to use our power to make real change. Instead of maintaining a broken system, Palpatine stops his circling, facing Qui-Gon directly. The two men lock eyes, each trying to read the other's true intentions. You would betray the Jedi Order? Turn your back on centuries of tradition? I would save it from itself. Qui-Gon counters. The code has become a cage, Sidious. We forbid attachment, yet we're expected to care about the citizens we protect. We forbid emotion, yet we're thrust into wars and conflicts that demand passion and commitment. We preach balance, but deny half the Force exists. The Order is dying because it refuses to acknowledge reality. The Sith Lord's lips curl into a smile, genuine amusement mixing with calculation. You speak of balance, yet you've always been the maverick among the Jedi, haven't you? The one who questions, who bends the rules when they don't suit him. How many times has the Council reprimanded you for your unorthodox methods? Qui-Gon's jaw tightens. The words hit close to home more times than I can count. They fear change, fear anything that threatens their comfortable certainties. But the galaxy doesn't care about our fears. It's changing whether we like it or not. We can guide that change, or we can be swept away by it. Palpatine considers this, his mind already working through the possibilities. Having a Jedi Master as an ally would indeed smooth many obstacles. And if this alliance eventually needs to be dissolved, well, accidents happen even to powerful Jedi. Very well, Qui-Gon Jinn. Let us see if your vision can withstand reality. But know this, if you prove to be more liability than asset, if you betray me or obstruct my plans, I will destroy you, and I will make your death slow enough that you'll beg for the mercy Maul's blade would have granted. And if your path leads to darkness and tyranny, if I see you becoming the monster you're capable of being, I'll stop you, even if it costs me my life. Then we understand each other. Welcome to the game, Master Jedi. I suspect you'll find it far more complex than lightsaber forms and Force meditation. The alliance is struck, though both know it's built on a foundation of mutual manipulation. Each believes they can ultimately control or eliminate the other when the time is right. Neither realizes how completely this decision will reshape them both. In the days that follow, Qui-Gon returns to Coruscant with Obi-Wan and Anakin. His report to the Jedi Council is carefully edited. He confirms that Maul was indeed Sith, that the ancient enemy has returned. But he attributes the Naboo crisis to Trade Federation greed and Senate corruption, making no mention of a Sith Master pulling the strings. The Council accepts his report, though Yoda's ancient eyes linger on Qui-Gon with something that might be suspicion. The matter of Anakin's training becomes the next battle. Qui-Gon appears before the Council with the boy at his side, presenting him as the chosen one who will bring balance to the Force. The Council members examine Anakin through the Force, and what they sense troubles them. The boy's power is immense, unprecedented, but it's wild and undisciplined. His emotions run deep and strong. His attachments, particularly to his mother, are painfully obvious. The boy's path is clouded, Mace Windu declares, his voice heavy with concern. Much fear in him I sense, Yoda adds. Dangerous it is to train one so old, so attached. Qui-Gon stands firm, drawing on every ounce of his authority and reputation. The chosen one he is. The prophecy speaks of one who will bring balance. I have found him. Will you deny destiny because of fear? The Council deliberates. The debate is heated, with Mace and several others arguing against training, while Ki-Adi-Mundi and others defend the possibility. Finally, Yoda speaks. Train the boy. Qui-Gon may. But watch them closely. We will. If dangerous the training becomes, intervene. We must. It's a conditional victory, but Qui-Gon accepts it. He invokes an ancient Jedi tradition that allows a master who successfully trains a Padawan to knighthood the right to choose his next apprentice without council approval. Since Obi-Wan is ready for the trials, Qui-Gon promotes him and takes Anakin as his new Padawan. Obi-Wan's trials are accelerated. The council agrees that his defeat of a Sith, something no Jedi has done in a millennium, qualifies as both the trial of skill and the trial of courage. His trial of spirit is conducted through deep meditation, where he confronts his own darkness and emerges clear-eyed. Within weeks, Obi-Wan Kenobi becomes a Jedi Knight, and Anakin Skywalker officially becomes Qui-Gon's Padawan. The training that follows is unlike anything the Jedi Temple has seen in generations. Qui-Gon doesn't teach Anakin to suppress his emotions, but to acknowledge and channel them. They meditate not on serenity alone, but on the full spectrum of feeling. They discuss attachment and love, and Qui-Gon carefully teaches a philosophy that would scandalize the Council. You care for your mother, Anakin. The Council would tell you to let go of that attachment, that it leads to fear and the dark side. But I tell you this, love is not weakness. It is the greatest strength the Force can give us. But Master, the code says attachment is forbidden. Master Yoda says it leads to jealousy, to the shadow of greed. They are 900 years old, speaking from fear rather than wisdom. Yes, attachment can lead to darkness if we let it control us. If we become so possessive that we'll do anything to hold on to what we love. But love itself, genuine compassion and connection, is the light side of the Force made manifest. Then, why does the Council forbid it? Qui-Gon is silent for a long moment, choosing his words carefully. Because they're afraid, young one. Long ago, Jedi could marry, could have families, but some fell to darkness through their attachments. And the Order's response was to forbid all attachment. They built walls around themselves, thinking it would keep them safe. But those walls have also cut them off from understanding the people they're meant to protect. What do you want me to do, Master? I want you to remember your mother, to love her, but also to trust that she is where she needs to be, that the Force will guide her path as it guides yours. Love her without needing to possess her. Care for her without letting that care control your actions. That is balance, Anakin. Not the absence of emotion, but emotion guided by wisdom. These teachings don't go unnoticed. Other Padawans begin asking questions, wondering why their training feels so restrictive compared to Skywalker's. Some of the younger knights, those who felt the code's constraints most keenly, start gravitating toward Qui-Gon's philosophy. The Council grows increasingly concerned, but Qui-Gon has been careful never to openly violate the code, only to interpret it differently. Meanwhile, Qui-Gon begins his work with Palpatine. Their meetings are secret, held in locations throughout Coruscant that change each time. Sometimes it's an abandoned industrial sector. Other times a private club where the wealthy play at decadence. Qui-Gon provides intelligence on Jedi movements and helps smooth over political obstacles. He uses his reputation to lend credibility to Palpatine's initiatives, but he also works to moderate the Chancellor's darker impulses. When Palpatine proposes eliminating certain troublesome senators through assassination, Qui-Gon argues for scandal and political maneuvering. Instead, dead martyrs inspire movements. he points out. Disgraced politicians inspire nothing but contempt. Let me arrange for their corruption to be exposed. The result will be the same, but the method will be cleaner. Palpatine agrees, though Qui-Gon can sense the Sith Lord's amusement at what he likely sees as squeamishness. Still, the Chancellor recognizes the tactical value in Qui-Gon's approach. Several corrupt senators find their careers destroyed not by blaster fire, but by leaked financial records and recorded conversations. The Republic's government slowly becomes marginally less corrupt, though Qui-Gon knows it's not nearly enough. As months turn into years, the political landscape shifts. Unrest grows in the outer rim. Systems begin demanding more autonomy, complaining about core world exploitation. Corporate interests, particularly the Trade Federation, Banking Clan, and Techno Union, grow bolder in their disregard for Republic law. And through it all, Palpatine maneuvers, always positioning himself as the reasonable voice, calling for order and decisive action. Then comes the discovery that changes everything. The clone army on Kamino. A Jedi Master named Sifo Dyas, long dead, apparently ordered its creation 10 years ago. The Council is baffled, but Qui-Gon immediately suspects the truth. He confronts Palpatine in one of their secret meetings. This was you. You manipulated Sifo Dyas, or killed him, and used his identity. You've been preparing for war for a decade. Palpatine doesn't deny it, his smile cold and calculating. The Republic needs an army. Qui-Gon, surely even you can see that. The Separatists are forming. Systems are leaving the Republic daily. Without military force, we'll watch the galaxy tear itself apart, and you'll use that army to grab power, to turn the Republic into your empire. The Sith Lord spreads his hands in a gesture of false innocence. I'll use it to save civilization from chaos. If that requires consolidating authority, then so be it. Better a strong empire than a weak republic that collapses into anarchy. Qui-Gon wants to refuse, to expose everything and let the consequences fall where they may. But he's in too deep now, and he knows it. If he reveals Palpatine's manipulations, the clone army will be rejected, and the Republic will be defenseless against the separatist military that's openly forming. Thousands of systems will die in the chaos, so he makes another compromise with darkness. He argues not against using the clone army, but against how it's used. He pushes for the Jedi to maintain independence from the military, to serve as advisors rather than generals. The Council ultimately overrules him, believing that Jedi leadership will prevent the clones from being misused. They don't realize they're walking into Palpatine's trap. The Clone Wars begin on Geonosis. Count Dooku, a fallen Jedi who Qui-Gon knows must be Palpatine's apprentice, leads the Separatist alliance. The Jedi mount a rescue mission that turns into the war's opening battle. Qui-Gon and Anakin are part of the strike team, along with Obi-Wan Kenobi and nearly 200 other Jedi. As Republic gunships swoop through Geonosis's rusty canyons and land in the execution arena, the battle erupts in full chaos. Droids emerge from every entrance, their blaster fire turning the arena into a killing field. Jedi deflect bolts and cut through battle droids, their lightsabers flashing like colored lightning. Clone troopers pour from the gunships, their white armor soon scorched with carbon scoring. Qui-Gon moves through the battle like a force of nature, his blue blade precise and devastating. Anakin fights at his side, the boy's raw power growing more controlled with each engagement. Together, they carve a path through the droid forces, pushing toward where Dooku was last seen. They find the Count in a hangar bay, preparing to flee as the battle turns against the Separatists. Obi-Wan arrives moments later, his face set with determination. He remembers Dooku as a respected master, someone he admired, and the betrayal cuts deep. Qui-Gon. Obi-Wan. How unexpected. I thought you'd be with the others, fighting for their doomed republic. Qui-Gon deactivates his comlink, ensuring this conversation remains private. I know what you are, Dooku. What you serve. Sidious sent you here to start this war. Dooku's eyes narrow with genuine surprise. Has our mutual friend told you everything then? How careless of him. Obi-Wan glances between them, confused. Mutual friend? Master, what's he talking about? Nothing that concerns you yet, young Kenobi. Qui-Gon's voice is hard. Dooku, I'm offering you one chance. Join me. Help me stop Sidious, or die here. The fallen Jedi laughs, a bitter sound that echoes in the hangar. You think you can defeat the Dark Lord of the Sith? You and your pet apprentices? I trained you, Qui-Gon. I know your limits. Then you should also know I don't bluff. The duel that erupts is swift and brutal. Dooku ignites his curved hilt lightsaber, its red blade humming to life. His style is Makashi, the dueling form, elegant and precise. He opens with a series of quick thrusts aimed at Qui-Gon's center mass, each strike economical and deadly. Qui-Gon parries with Ataru, his preferred form, but modified by decades of experience. Where Ataru usually emphasizes acrobatics and aggression, Qui-Gon's version is more grounded, more patient. He lets Dooku come to him, studying the Count's patterns. Obi-Wan attacks from Dooku's left, his Sorisu defense transforming into sudden offense. But Dooku is ready, his blade spinning in a tight defensive circle that catches Obi-Wan's strike and redirects it. The Count's riposte is lightning fast, forcing Obi-Wan back. Then, Anakin enters the fray from Dooku's blind spot. The young Padawan has been learning from Qui-Gon's teachings, and his style reflects it. He fights with passion but controlled passion, each strike powerful but not wild. His lightsaber comes down in an overhead blow that would split Dooku's skull if it landed. Dooku sidesteps, his movements minimal and efficient. He's fighting 3 opponents now, and his face shows strain. His blade becomes a blur of red light, deflecting attacks from multiple angles. He tries to create space, backing toward his solar sailor ship. But Qui-Gon anticipated this, and the exit is blocked. You were always stubborn, old friend, Dooku says, breathing hard. But you're also predictable. He unleashes a wave of force lightning, the dark side energy crackling through the air. Obi-Wan raises his lightsaber to absorb it, but the power is overwhelming. He's thrown back, his body convulsing. Anakin screams in fury and rushes forward, but Dooku is waiting. He catches the young Padawan's blade in a lock and kicks him in the chest, sending him sprawling. Now it's just Qui-Gon and Dooku, master and former student, facing each other as they have in countless training sessions decades ago. But this is no training session. Qui-Gon attacks with everything he has, his blade moving faster than the eye can follow. Dooku defends brilliantly, his Makashi form designed for exactly this scenario. But Qui-Gon has been studying the dark side, learning its techniques even as he tries to resist its corruption. He channels his fear for his apprentices, his anger at Dooku's betrayal, and lets them fuel his strength. The increase in power is immediate and obvious. His strikes become heavier, faster, more aggressive. Dooku's eyes widen as he's forced back, step by step. His elegant form is being overwhelmed by sheer power. He tries another burst of lightning, but Qui-Gon redirects it with the Force, sending it harmlessly into the hangar's ceiling. "Impossible," Dooku gasps. "You're not. You haven't embraced the dark side. I've embraced necessity." There's a difference. Anakin recovers and rushes back in, his anger at seeing Obi-Wan hurt driving him forward. Together, master and apprentice attack in perfect synchronization. Their bond through the Force allows them to fight as one entity, each anticipating the other's moves. Qui-Gon strikes high while Anakin goes low. When Dooku blocks one, he's exposed to the other. The Count realizes he cannot win. In a desperate move, he attempts to flee toward his ship, using the Force to hurl debris at his opponents. But Qui-Gon is faster. He extends his hand and freezes Dooku in place, holding him with the Force. Anakin's lightsaber comes up, stopping mere inches from the Count's throat. "Yield. This is your only chance." Dooku deactivates his lightsaber, his breath coming in ragged gasps. "And if I do, you'll parade me before the Council as a trophy, expose me as Sith, and execute me as a traitor? No. You'll help me destroy Sidious. Then we'll build something new from the ashes of this broken republic. You would betray your master to me? Sidious will kill you for this treachery." Qui-Gon's smile is cold, almost cruel, only if he knows. And by the time he realizes what's happening, it will be too late. Now choose. Dooku, join me, or Anakin finishes what we started. Obi-Wan approaches, limping but recovered enough to stand. "Master, we should bring him to the Council. They need to know about the Sith." "No," Qui-Gon says firmly. "This is beyond the Council now. Trust me, Obi-Wan." The young knight looks troubled but nods. His faith in his former master runs deep, even when he doesn't understand the path being taken. "Very well," Dooku says quietly. "I'll help you. But you should know, Qui-Gon, that dealing with Sidious has changed you already. You're not the man I trained all those years ago. I know. But I'm the man the galaxy needs." They secure Dooku in his own ship and leave Geonosis separately from the main Jedi forces. Qui-Gon tells the Council that the Count escaped, that they had him, but he used the dark side to break free. It's the first direct lie he's told the Council, and the words taste like ash in his mouth. In the weeks that follow, as the Clone Wars erupt across the galaxy, Qui-Gon works with Dooku in secret. The Fallen Jedi provides intelligence on separatist movements, allowing the Republic to score early victories. But more importantly, he provides information about Palpatine's plans. The Chancellor intends to prolong the war, using it to accumulate emergency powers and position himself as indispensable. The endgame is obvious: an empire with Palpatine as its absolute ruler. But Qui-Gon sees an opportunity. With Dooku's testimony and the evidence they've gathered, he can expose Palpatine's manipulations. However, he doesn't want to simply remove the Chancellor. and watch someone equally corrupt take his place. He wants to use this crisis to fundamentally reshape the Republic. He approaches a select group within the Senate: Bail Organa of Alderaan, Mon Mothma of Chandrila, Padme Amidala of Naboo, and a handful of others. These are the few truly incorruptible members, senators who've been frustrated by the Republic's paralysis and corruption but lack the power to change it. In a secured chamber deep beneath the Senate building, Qui-Gon lays out what he's learned. He presents evidence of Palpatine's manipulation of the Separatist crisis, though he carefully frames it as political maneuvering and war profiteering, rather than revealing the Chancellor's Sith identity. That truth, he knows, would be too much for them to accept. The senators are horrified, but also skeptical. Palpatine has cultivated his image too well. Attacking him without overwhelming proof could destroy their own careers and accomplish nothing. Then what do you suggest, Master Jin? Bail Organa asks. If what you say is true, we can't simply remove the Chancellor. The war would collapse into chaos. No. We use the situation to our advantage. Qui-Gon's voice is calm, measured. We don't expose Palpatine outright. We pressure him into accepting reforms, real structural changes that will prevent this kind of corruption in the future. We make him choose: either work with us to reshape the Republic, or face exposure and execution. That's blackmail. Mon Mothma says quietly, yes, it is, and it's necessary. Padme, who's been silent until now, speaks up. I worked with you on Naboo, Master Jin. I know you're a good man, but what you're proposing, it's dangerous. Using Palpatine's methods against him, where does that end? With a republic that actually serves its people instead of its politicians. I know it's not ideal, Senator Amidala, but the alternative is watching the galaxy tear itself apart while we debate the proper procedures. The debate continues for hours. Some of the senators are convinced. Others remain deeply uncomfortable. But eventually, they agree to support Qui-Gon's plan, if only because they can't see another path forward. Qui-Gon's next move is to confront Palpatine directly with this new coalition behind him. The meeting takes place in the Chancellor's office, with the selected senators present. Palpatine's surprise is carefully concealed, but Qui-Gon can sense his calculations. The Sith Lord assessing this new threat. Chancellor, we have evidence of your involvement in manufacturing this crisis. Bail Organa begins. Financial records, communication intercepts, testimony from your associates. We're prepared to bring this before the full Senate and call for your removal. Palpatine's expression is one of shocked innocence. These are serious accusations, Senator. Based on what? Precisely. Qui-Gon steps forward. Based on months of investigation, we know about the secret accounts, the payments to both Separatist and Republic military suppliers. We know you profited from the Naboo blockade, and we know that you've been systematically accumulating emergency powers that go far beyond what the crisis requires. The Chancellor's mask slips for just a moment, and Qui-Gon sees the cold calculation beneath. Then, Palpatine smiles. I see. And what exactly do you want, Master Jedi? Surely you haven't come just to threaten me. We want reform, Qui-Gon says. Real structural change. You'll support legislation to limit corporate influence in the Senate. You'll back anti-corruption measures with actual enforcement. You'll agree to independent oversight of military spending and emergency powers. And, most importantly, you'll work with us to end this war quickly and justly, not prolong it for political gain. And if I refuse, then we go public with everything. Your career ends, possibly your life. The war continues without your manipulation, and we take our chances with a cleaner Senate. The room is silent as Palpatine considers. Finally, he nods slowly. It seems you've outmaneuvered me, Master Jin. Very well. I'll support your reforms. But know this, governing is more complicated than Jedi philosophy. Your ideals may not survive contact with reality, then we'll adapt them. But we will see them implemented. The alliance between Qui-Gon and Palpatine enters a new phase. The Chancellor keeps his word, at least superficially, supporting anti-corruption legislation and reforms. But he also subtly steers these reforms toward his own ends. Regional governors are granted more autonomy, which sounds good until one realizes they're being given military authority as well. New security forces are created to enforce anti-corruption measures, but they're loyal to the Chancellor's office, not the Senate. Qui-Gon sees what's happening, but finds himself constantly choosing the lesser evil. Yes, the governors have too much power, but at least they're reducing corporate exploitation in the Outer Rim. Yes, the security forces could be dangerous, but they're actually prosecuting corrupt senators. Every step forward comes with a step toward authoritarianism. And Qui-Gon tells himself it's temporary, that he can roll these measures back once the crisis passes. Meanwhile, his training of Anakin continues and deepens. The boy is now a young man, 16 years old, and powerful beyond measure. His connection to the Force grows stronger each day, and Qui-Gon has molded him into something unprecedented. A Jedi who can feel deeply without being consumed by emotion, who can love without possessiveness, who walks the line between light and dark with careful precision. One afternoon, during a training session in the temple's practice rooms, Qui-Gon decides it's time for a particular lesson. He's noticed Anakin's glances toward Senator Amidala during diplomatic functions. The way the young man's presence in the Force brightens when she's near. You care for her, don't you? Padme Amidala. Anakin freezes mid-form, his training saber lowering. Aye, Master, the code forbids. The code forbids many things, some wisely, others foolishly. I asked if you care for her, not whether the council would approve. The young man's shoulders slump, and he deactivates his saber. Yes, I've tried not to, tried to let it go as the masters teach. But every time I see her, every time we speak, I feel like I'm more myself than I've ever been. That's love, Anakin. And there's nothing shameful in it, but attachment leads to jealousy, to fear of loss, to the dark side, Master Yoda says. Qui-Gon sits on a training bench, gesturing for Anakin to join him. Let me tell you a story. Long ago, before the Ruusan Reformation, Jedi were permitted to marry, to have families. Some of the greatest masters in our history had spouses and children. They loved deeply and served the Force faithfully. But then came a period of darkness, when several Jedi fell, because they couldn't bear to lose those they loved. They did terrible things, trying to prevent death or avenge it. And the Order's response was to forbid all attachment. So they were right to forbid it, were they? Or did they mistake the symptom for the disease? Those Jedi didn't fall because they loved Anakin. They fell because they couldn't accept loss, because they thought their love gave them the right to control fate itself. The problem wasn't love. It was possessiveness, fear, not affection. Anakin is silent, absorbing this. What are you saying, Master? I'm saying that if you love Padme, you should tell her. Court her if she's willing, but love her as a free person, not a possession. Care for her happiness, even if it doesn't include you. Trust that the Force will guide both your paths, and that love given freely is never wasted, even if it's not returned or can't be acted upon. And the Council? What the Council doesn't know won't hurt them. Your private life is your own, Anakin, as long as it doesn't interfere with your duties. I won't report you for having feelings. I'm not that kind of master. The conversation marks a turning point in their relationship. Anakin begins to see Qui-Gon not just as a teacher, but as a father figure, someone who understands him in ways the Jedi Order never has. And Qui-Gon, for his part, finds himself caring for Anakin with a depth that surprises him. The boy represents everything he hopes to achieve: balance, strength tempered by compassion, power guided by wisdom. As the Clone Wars grind on, Qui-Gon and Anakin are deployed together to various battlefronts. They fight on the icy plains of Orto Plutonia, in the jungles of Felucia, and above the shipyards of Kuat. Each battle strengthens their bond and hones Anakin's skills, but it also exposes the young Jedi to the horrors of war. On Ryloth, they arrive to find separatist forces occupying the capital and using the Twi'lek population as living shields. The clone commanders want to bombard the city from orbit, accepting civilian casualties as the price of victory. Qui-Gon refuses, and instead, he and Anakin lead a ground assault. The battle through Ryloth streets is brutal. Battle droids are entrenched in every building, and civilian Twi'leks are caught in the crossfire. Anakin watches children cowering in bombed-out buildings, families huddling in basements as laser fire tears through the walls. His fury at the separatists grows with each innocent face he sees. They corner the separatist commander, a tactical droid named TX-20, in the city's central plaza. The droid has surrounded itself with Twi'lek hostages, threatening to execute them if the Republic forces advance. The clone troopers halt, uncertain how to proceed without triggering a massacre. Anakin doesn't hesitate. He reaches out with the Force, not gently but with overwhelming power. He rips the droid's blaster away and crushes its processors with telekinetic force. The hostages scatter as TX-20 collapses, sparking and twitching. The remaining droids, leaderless, are quickly destroyed. Afterwards, as they survey the liberated city, Qui-Gon places a hand on Anakin's shoulder. You did well today. You saved those people. I wanted to kill that droid the moment I saw it. I wanted to make it suffer for what it did to these people. I know. I felt your anger through our bond, but you controlled it, used it without letting it control you. That's the balance I've been teaching you. It felt good, Master. The anger, the power, it felt right. Qui-Gon is quiet for a moment, troubled by the admission but also understanding it. The dark side always feels right in the moment, Anakin. That's its seduction. The question isn't whether you feel anger, but what you do with it. Today, you used it to save innocence. That's the light side using the dark side's strength. But you must always be vigilant. The line between righteous anger and cruel vengeance is thinner than you think. How do you know where the line is? You ask yourself, am I doing this to protect others or to satisfy myself? If the answer is both, then proceed carefully. If the answer is only the latter, stop immediately. These philosophical discussions continue throughout the war as Qui-Gon tries to instill in Anakin a nuanced understanding of the Force. But he's also aware that he's teaching the young man to walk a dangerous path. Every time Anakin channels his anger successfully, every time his fear protects those he loves, it becomes easier to justify darker methods. 3 years into the Clone Wars, Anakin is 20 years old and a Jedi Knight in all but name. The Council has been reluctant to grant him the rank, citing his youth and unorthodox training. But his accomplishments speak for themselves. He's led dozens of successful missions, saved countless lives, and proven himself in battle against both droids and dark side users. His relationship with Padme has also deepened. They've been meeting in secret for years now, their love growing despite the danger discovery would bring. Qui-Gon knows about it, of course, and has quietly enabled it, providing cover stories and ensuring their meetings remain private. He tells himself he's helping Anakin maintain balance, but part of him knows he's also indulging the young man. Perhaps too much. One evening, Anakin comes to Qui-Gon's quarters in the temple with news that changes everything. "Master, I need to tell you something. Padme is pregnant. We're going to have a child." Qui-Gon's first reaction is joy, quickly followed by concern. A pregnancy means their secret relationship will soon become impossible to hide. The Council will demand answers, and Anakin could face expulsion from the Order. How do you feel about this? Terrified, excited, overwhelmed. "Master, what if I'm not ready? What if I can't protect them?" No parent is ever truly ready, Anakin. But you have something most don't. Power beyond measure, and training from someone who actually understands attachment. You'll be a good father because you care, and because you have the wisdom to seek help when you need it. And the Council will deal with them when the time comes. For now, focus on supporting Padme and preparing for fatherhood. That's more important than politics. But the political situation is about to become far more pressing. A few weeks after Anakin's announcement, Qui-Gon receives intelligence that leads him and Anakin to Mustafar. They're investigating a series of mysterious Jedi deaths that seem too coordinated to be coincidental. The trail leads them to a hidden facility in Mustafar's volcanic industrial sector. What they find there horrifies them both. The facility is enormous, buried deep within the planet's crust and shielded from sensors. Inside, they discover extensive files on every Jedi in the Order, psychological profiles, tactical assessments, lists of weaknesses and fears. There are biological samples stored in cryostasis, DNA from hundreds of Jedi going back decades. But the most damning evidence is in a secured vault at the facility's heart. Qui-Gon and Anakin fight their way through automated defenses and security droids to reach it. Inside, they find a holocron containing contingency orders, dozens of them, designed for every possible scenario. Order 66 is buried among the others, but its purpose is unmistakable. Upon issuance of this order, all clone troopers will execute their Jedi commanders. Justification will be provided post facto, framing the action as prevention of a Jedi coup against the Republic. Timing of order implementation to be determined by Supreme Chancellor based on strategic necessity. Anakin's hands shake as he reads the order. His face goes pale, then flushed with rage. He was never going to let us reform anything. He was always planning to kill us all, to turn the Republic into his empire and eliminate anyone who could stop him. You, me, Obi-Wan, every Jedi. We were just tools to him. Qui-Gon stares at the evidence, his mind racing through implications and consequences. For 3 years, he's been working with Palpatine, making compromises, helping build the very system that will enslave the galaxy. He's told himself it was necessary, that he was moderating the Sith Lord's worst impulses, that he could eventually outmaneuver him. But all along, Palpatine was planning to exterminate the Jedi and establish absolute control. The rage that wells up in Qui-Gon is almost overwhelming. He's been played, manipulated by someone he thought he was manipulating. Every reform he implemented, every compromise he made, has strengthened Palpatine's position. The Jedi are scattered across the galaxy, embedded with clone units that will turn on them at a word. The Senate has been neutered, its power centralized in the Chancellor's office. The infrastructure for tyranny is complete, waiting only for Palpatine to activate it. We have to stop him, Anakin says, his voice shaking with fury. We have to expose him to the Council, to the Senate, to everyone. We have to. But Qui-Gon's response is slower, more measured, and it frightens Anakin to hear it. If we expose him now, what happens? The Republic collapses. The Separatists, sensing weakness, push their advantage and win the war. The clone army, programmed to obey the Chancellor, might activate Order 66 anyway in the chaos. The reforms we've implemented, the corruption we've reduced, all of it disappears. We'll have traded Palpatine's planned evil for immediate chaos that could kill billions. Master, we can't just let him. No, we can't. But there's another way, a harder way. He turns to Anakin, and there's a terrible resolve in his eyes that the young Jedi has never seen before. We take his place. We use the system he's built, the authority he's accumulated, the reforms we've already implemented. We remove him and step into the void, but we do it right. We create the reformed republic he only pretended to want, but we do it without tyranny, without darkness. We hold power long enough to ensure the changes take root. Then we step aside. Anakin steps back, shock clear on his face. Master, that's treason. That's overthrowing the legitimate government. That's exactly what the Sith would do, perhaps. Or perhaps it's the only way to save the galaxy from both Palpatine's darkness and the Republic's corruption. Palpatine saw that the system was broken, and his solution was tyranny. But what if we could create something better? A government strong enough to act decisively but constrained by law and morality. A system that actually serves the people instead of exploiting them. You're talking about making yourself emperor, becoming what we're fighting against. I'm talking about doing what's necessary. Someone has to hold the center. Anakin. Someone has to have the strength to make hard choices and the wisdom to make them correctly. I don't want this power. The very thought sickens me. But I may be the only one who can wield it without being corrupted by it. Because I know what corruption looks like. I've been living with it for 3 years. Anakin struggles with this. His loyalty to Qui-Gon warring with his sense of right and wrong. Everything his master has taught him about balance, about using power wisely, about trusting his instincts. All of it points in different directions now. What about Obi-Wan? The Council? They'll never accept this. Then they'll have to be convinced or set aside. I'll give them every chance to join us, to help build something better. But if they insist on clinging to the old ways, the ways that allowed this catastrophe to happen, then they'll be left behind. They spend the next several days in agonized debate. Anakin meditates, seeking guidance from the Force, but finds only ambiguity. He talks with Padme, carefully revealing what they've learned without exposing Qui-Gon's full plan. The senator is horrified by Palpatine's betrayal, but equally troubled by the idea of overthrowing the government. There has to be another way, she insists. We expose Palpatine, call for new elections, let the people decide their future. And in the months it takes to organize elections, how many Jedi die when Palpatine activates Order 66? How many systems fall into chaos as separatists smell blood in the water? How many people starve when the economy collapses because no one knows who's in charge? So, your solution is to become a dictator? To impose your will on the galaxy? My solution is to prevent catastrophe while creating the conditions for real democracy to emerge. Not the corrupt, paralyzed democracy we have now, but something better, something worth saving. But Padme remains unconvinced, and her doubt plants seeds of uncertainty in Anakin's mind. Still, in the end, his loyalty to Qui-Gon wins out. He's seen his master's wisdom proven time and again over the years. He's watched Qui-Gon make hard choices that seemed wrong at the time, but turned out right in the end. And he trusts, perhaps more than he should, that this will be the same. They bring Dooku fully into the plan. The former Count has been living in exile, providing intelligence, but remaining hidden. When Qui-Gon reveals the existence of Order 66 and his intention to overthrow Palpatine, Dooku's reaction is complex. I wondered when you'd realize the trap you'd walked into. Sidious was never going to let you reform anything, Qui-Gon. He only kept you alive this long because you were useful. Once the war ends, you would have been among the first to die. Then help me kill him and take his place. And what makes you think you'll be any better? Power corrupts, my old friend. You're already compromised by 3 years of collaboration. How much further will you fall when you actually hold supreme power? That's why I need people like you to keep me honest, to challenge me when I go too far, to remind me of what I'm fighting for. You're asking a lot of faith from someone who's seen what Sidious became. I know, but I'm also offering you a chance at redemption, at building something better than what we tore down. Dooku agrees, though his concerns echo in Qui-Gon's mind for days afterwards. Is he already corrupted? Has his collaboration with Palpatine changed him more than he realizes? He meditates on these questions but finds no clear answers. Only the certainty that something must be done. The opportunity comes 2 months later. During a state visit to Naboo, Palpatine is invited to commemorate the anniversary of the Battle of Naboo, the conflict that began his rise to power. It's fitting, in a dark way, that his fall will occur in the same place. The Chancellor will be staying in a private estate outside Theed, away from the heavy security of Coruscant. Qui-Gon arranges a private meeting under the guise of discussing a major military operation. Anakin, Dooku, and Qui-Gon travel to Naboo separately, using various covers. Anakin arrives as Padmé's security escort. Dooku comes as a mysterious intelligence asset. Qui-Gon is openly invited as a military advisor. They coordinate their approach carefully, knowing they'll have only one chance at this. On the evening of the meeting, they gather outside Palpatine's estate. The building is elegant, but not ostentatious, surrounded by Naboo's famous gardens. The security is light, just a dozen guards, because Palpatine doesn't want to draw attention to himself. He thinks he's in control, that his plans are proceeding perfectly. He has no idea the trap is closing around him. As they approach the main entrance, Qui-Gon can feel the dark side radiating from the building. It's stronger than he's ever sensed from Palpatine, as if the Sith Lord is no longer bothering to conceal his nature. Or perhaps Qui-Gon has simply become more attuned to darkness through his years of compromise. The guards let them through without question. Qui-Gon is expected, and he claims Anakin and the hooded Dooku are his assistants. They're escorted to Palpatine's private chambers, a luxurious suite overlooking Naboo's waterfalls. The Chancellor is standing at the window when they enter, his back to them, hands clasped behind his back. "Ah, Master Jin, and young Skywalker, how wonderful to see you both. I trust you've brought news of our Ryloth operation." Qui-Gon doesn't answer immediately. Instead, he activates a signal jammer, and Dooku moves to secure the door. Palpatine doesn't turn around, but his posture changes subtly, becoming more alert. "I see. Not hear about military operations then. Tell me, Qui-Gon, what has prompted this dramatic visit?" Now Qui-Gon speaks, his voice cold and hard. "We found your facility on Mustafar. We know about Order 66, about your plans to exterminate the Jedi. We know everything, Sidious." The silence that follows is thick with tension. Then Palpatine laughs, a sound with no humor in it, only dark amusement. When he finally turns around, the mask of kindly concern is completely gone. What they see is the true face of Darth Sidious, twisted with malevolence and ancient rage. "Congratulations. You've discovered my secret. I'm sure that makes you feel very clever. But tell me, what exactly do you think you're going to do about it?" Dooku throws back his hood, revealing himself. "Hello, old friend. Surprised to see me?" Palpatine's eyes narrow, but his smile doesn't falter. "Dooku, I should have known you'd betray me as you betrayed the Jedi. You always were too sentimental, too attached to your outdated ideals. It's your greatest weakness, and your weakness is arrogance." The Count replies, "You've underestimated Qui-Gon, just as you underestimated me." "Underestimated?" Palpatine's laugh is sharp as broken glass. "I've spent 3 years watching Qui-Gon compromise every principle he claims to hold dear. I've watched him lie to the Council, manipulate senators, and justify methods he would have found abhorrent before Naboo. He's already fallen, and he doesn't even realize it. Tell me, Qui-Gon, how many steps separate you from me now? 2? 1? How long before you're standing where I stand, having convinced yourself that your tyranny is somehow noble? The words strike deep because they carry truth. Qui-Gon has changed over these 3 years. He's learned to lie convincingly, to manipulate without remorse, to sacrifice principles for practical results. He's drawn on the dark side in battle, felt its power coursing through him, and he's justified all of it by telling himself the ends would justify the means. But there's a difference, and Qui-Gon clings to it. I've done these things to stop you, to prevent the greater evil you represent. And now that you're stopped, I can step back from the abyss. Can you, once you taste power, once you feel the galaxy bending to your will, can you really let that go? You're lying to yourself, Qui-Gon. But that's what the dark side does. It convinces you that this time it's different. This time you're strong enough. This time you're wise enough. But you're not. No one is. Enough talk. Qui-Gon ignites his lightsaber, and Anakin follows suit. Dooku's red blade snaps to life a moment later. A pity, Palpatine says, his voice almost sad. All 3 of you could have been so much more. Instead, you'll die here, and the Jedi will die with you. Order 66 has already been prepared, you see. The moment I fail to report in, the commands will automatically transmit to every clone commander in the galaxy. Even if you kill me, my revenge will be complete. Then we'll have to stop them too, Anakin snarls. After we stop you, the battle that erupts is unlike anything the galaxy has seen in 1,000 years. Palpatine unleashes his full power, decades of dark side mastery, channeled into pure destruction. His transformation is instantaneous and terrifying. The grandfatherly politician disappears, replaced by a living incarnation of the dark side. Lightning arcs from his fingertips in massive bolts that crack the walls and ceiling. Furniture doesn't just move, it explodes into deadly shrapnel. The floor beneath them cracks and heaves. Even the air becomes charged with dark side energy, making it difficult to breathe. Qui-Gon meets him head-on, his lightsaber a blur of blue light. He's not as powerful as Palpatine in raw dark side energy, but he has advantages. 3 years of working with the Sith Lord have taught him Palpatine's patterns, his tells, his preferred techniques. When the Chancellor unleashes Force lightning, Qui-Gon is ready with a barrier technique he learned from ancient texts. When Palpatine attempts to dominate his mind, Qui-Gon's mental shields, fortified by years of meditation, hold firm. Their lightsabers clash, blue against red, and the force of impact sends shockwaves through the room. Qui-Gon fights with his modified Ataru, grounded and powerful. Each strike is precise, aimed at vital points, backed by both physical strength and force enhancement. But Palpatine is a master of Juyo, the most aggressive form, and his counterattacks are blinding fast. Anakin attacks from the right. His fighting style, a synthesis of everything Qui-Gon has taught him. Raw power, controlled by technique, emotion channeled into strength, creativity unleashed within discipline. His youth and vigor give him speed that even Palpatine struggles to match. The Sith Lord is forced to divide his attention, his red blade spinning in complex patterns to ward off attacks from 2 angles, and Dooku strikes from behind, his elegant Makashi finding openings in Palpatine's defense. The Count is older and more tired than his opponents, but he's fighting with something he hasn't felt in years: righteous purpose. For decades, he served darkness, first as Palpatine's apprentice, and then as Qui-Gon's reluctant ally. Now, finally, he has a chance to strike at the source of the galaxy's corruption. The four of them move through the room in a deadly dance. Lightsabers flash in blurs of colored light. Force powers collide in explosions of energy. The walls crack, the windows shatter. Furniture is reduced to splinters. The very structure of the building groans under the stress of their battle. Palpatine is powerful, perhaps the most powerful Force user alive. But he's fighting three skilled opponents simultaneously, and even he can't maintain that level of defense indefinitely. He focuses his attacks on Dooku, recognizing him as the weakest link. A torrent of Force lightning engulfs the former Count, more powerful than anything he's ever generated before. Dooku screams, his body convulsing as electricity courses through him. His lightsaber falls from nerveless fingers, and he's lifted off the ground by the sheer power of the attack. Palpatine pours more energy into the lightning, intending to kill Dooku quickly and eliminate one threat, but Qui-Gon won't allow it. He reaches out with the Force, not to attack Palpatine directly, but to absorb the lightning. The technique is dangerous, requiring perfect control, but he's studied it extensively in preparation for this moment. The dark side energy flows into him, and he channels it harmlessly into the ground. The momentary distraction is all Anakin needs. He rushes at Palpatine, his lightsaber moving in a complex series of strikes that the Sith Lord barely parries. The young Jedi's face is set with determination and fury. He thinks of Padme, of their unborn children, of the future this monster wants to destroy. All of that emotion fuels his strength without consuming his reason. Palpatine disengages from Anakin and focuses on Qui-Gon, recognizing him as the real threat. Their lightsabers lock, and for a moment they're face to face, separated only by crossed blades. You can't win, Qui-Gon. Even if you kill me, you've already lost. You've become what you hate. You'll take my place and convince yourself you're different, but you'll end up exactly where I am. No, because I know the cost. Because I've seen what you are and chosen a different path. You embraced the darkness completely. I only use it as a tool. The darkness doesn't care about your intentions. It consumes everything it touches. You're already corrupted, Qui-Gon. You just can't see it yet. Then that's a price I'll pay to stop you. He pushes Palpatine back and reaches out with the Force, grabbing a massive piece of fallen ceiling. The chunk of stone and metal hurtles toward Palpatine, who's forced to defend with Force energy, momentarily leaving him open to Anakin's attack. The young Jedi doesn't hesitate. His lightsaber comes down in a powerful overhead strike that Palpatine barely blocks, but the force of impact drives the Sith Lord back, off balance for the first time in the fight. Dooku, recovered enough to stand, ignites his lightsaber and rushes back into the battle. He's injured, his movement slower, but he's determined to see this through. His blade joins Qui-Gon and Anakin's, 3 lightsabers against 1, pressing Palpatine from all sides. The Sith Lord is forced into pure defense, his red blade spinning desperately to ward off their combined assault. He tries to create distance, to use the environment. But Qui-Gon anticipated this and has been systematically destroying the room, eliminating cover and tactical advantages. Palpatine's face contorts with fury and, for the first time Qui-Gon can remember, genuine fear. The Dark Lord of the Sith is losing. and he knows it. If I fall, I take the galaxy with me. Order 66 is programmed into the clone's conditioning. The moment my vital signs cease, the command activates. Every Jedi will die. Not if we jam the signal, Qui-Gon replies, breathing hard. Not if we countermand the order using your own authority. We've thought of everything, Sidious. Your plans end here. You fool. You have no idea what you're unleashing. The galaxy needs order, needs strength. Without me, it will tear itself apart. Then we'll hold it together. But we'll do it right. In a final, desperate move, Palpatine channels everything into one massive burst of dark side energy. It's not lightning or telekinesis, but pure force power. An explosion of malevolence that tears at the very fabric of reality. The walls blow outward. The ceiling collapses. The ground cracks beneath them. Windows shatter for 100 meters in every direction. But Qui-Gon is ready. He's been preparing for this moment, studying techniques both light and dark, learning to channel the full spectrum of the Force. He reaches deep into his connection with the living Force, drawing on both light and dark, emotion and serenity, love and discipline. He thinks of Obi-Wan, his faithful former apprentice, the son he never had. He thinks of Anakin, the boy he's raised and shaped, his true legacy. He thinks of Padme and her unborn twins, the future he's fighting to protect. And he thinks of all the beings across the galaxy who deserve better than the tyranny Palpatine would impose. All of that, the love and the anger, the hope and the fear, the light and the dark, he channels into a single point of will. He creates a barrier that absorbs Palpatine's attack and redirects it back at its source with even greater force. The Dark Lord of the Sith screams as his own power consumes him. Force, energy, dark and corrupted, tears through his body. His skin cracks like parchment, revealing the corruption beneath. Lightning arcs from his hands uncontrollably, scorching the walls and floor. His screams echo through the ruins of the chamber, a sound of pure anguish and disbelief. When it finally ends, when the dark side energy dissipates, Palpatine collapses. His body is a withered husk, barely recognizable as human. The man who would have been emperor lies dead among the ruins of his ambitions. Qui-Gon staggers, exhausted beyond measure. Using both sides of the Force simultaneously, channeling that much power has drained him completely. His legs buckle, and Anakin catches him before he falls. "Is it over?" the young Jedi asks, his voice shaking. Qui-Gon looks at Palpatine's corpse, then at the destruction around them. It's only beginning. But at least this nightmare has ended. They rush to Dooku's side. The former Count is badly injured, burns covering much of his body, his breathing shallow. They use the Force to stabilize him, pouring healing energy into his battered form. It's touch and go for several minutes. But eventually, his condition stabilizes enough that he's no longer in immediate danger. Order 66, Anakin says urgently. "We need to stop it now." Before, Qui-Gon nods, already moving toward Palpatine's communication console. It's damaged, but functional. He accesses the clone command network, using Palpatine's personal codes, which they acquired from the Mustafar facility. A new order goes out to all clone commanders. a message in Palpatine's own voice, synthesized from recordings. Attention all clone commanders. Previous Order 66 command has been rescinded due to intelligence error. All Jedi are to be protected and supported. Repeat, Order 66 is cancelled. Any clone unit that has begun executing this order is to cease immediately and report for reprogramming. It's not a perfect solution. Some units may have already acted before receiving the countermand. Others might question the order's authenticity, but it's the best they can do with the time available. Qui-Gon sends additional messages to Jedi Masters across the galaxy, warning them of the danger and telling them to secure their clone units immediately. Then comes the hardest part: deciding what to tell the galaxy. They have Palpatine's body, evidence of his Sith identity, proof of his manipulation of both sides of the war. They could expose everything, let the truth destroy his legacy, and vindicate their actions. But Qui-Gon, thinking strategically, realizes the truth would be too destabilizing. The galaxy doesn't need to know their Chancellor was a Sith Lord. He tells Anakin and Dooku as they secure the site. It would shatter what little faith remains in institutions. What they need is a narrative that explains his death without revealing how deeply the Republic was compromised. So we lie? Anakin asks. Troubled, we tell a truth, just not the whole truth. Palpatine was killed by separatist infiltrators who penetrated his security. We foiled the plot, but too late to save him. It's close enough to reality to be believable, and it doesn't reveal how corrupt the system actually was. And what happens next? Who takes over? Qui-Gon is silent for a long moment, staring at Palpatine's corpse. This is the moment of decision, the point of no return. He can contact the Council, turn over the evidence, and let the Republic determine its own future. Or he can do what he's been planning, what Palpatine's own words suggested he's already become capable of. Seize power himself. The galaxy is in crisis, he says finally. The war is still ongoing. The separatists need to be defeated or negotiated with. The Republic needs leadership, someone who can act decisively and isn't mired in corruption. The Senate will look to the Jedi for guidance, and the Jedi will look to someone who's proven themselves as both warrior and philosopher. You, Dooku says, his voice weak but clear. They'll look to you, Qui-Gon. And you're actually considering accepting that power, aren't you? Not for myself, for what needs to be done. Temporary authority, just long enough to implement real reforms and end the war. Then I'll step aside. That's what they all say. That's what Palpatine said, in his own way. Then I'll prove I'm different. I'll set a time limit, build in checks and balances, prepare for my own replacement from day one. This won't be an empire. It will be an emergency restructuring. But even as he says the words, Qui-Gon wonders if he's lying to himself. Has Palpatine corrupted him more than he realizes? Is he capable of holding supreme power and then voluntarily relinquishing it? He doesn't know. And that uncertainty terrifies him. But he also knows that someone must act, and he may be the only one positioned to do so. In the days and weeks that follow, Qui-Gon's fears and ambitions play out on the galactic stage. News of Palpatine's assassination sends shockwaves through the Republic. The Senate meets in emergency session. Paralyzed by grief and fear. The separatists sense weakness and press their military advantage, launching offensives on a dozen fronts. Into this chaos steps Qui-Gon Jinn. He addresses the Senate with a speech that's been carefully crafted to inspire hope while justifying extraordinary measures. My fellow citizens, we have endured 3 years of brutal war. We have watched as corruption nearly destroyed us from within. We have seen good people die while venal politicians profited. Chancellor Palpatine's assassination, tragic as it is, has revealed critical vulnerabilities in our government that must be addressed immediately. He pauses, letting his words sink in. The Senate chamber is packed, senators hanging on his every word. Qui-Gon can feel their fear, their desperate need for someone to tell them everything will be all right. The Republic as we knew it is dead. It died years ago, strangled by bureaucracy and rot. What we must decide now is what will take its place. We can try to resurrect the old system, hoping it will somehow work better this time. Or we can build something new, something stronger, learning from our mistakes while honoring our ideals. He lays out his vision, a reformed government that balances centralized efficiency with democratic principles, regional councils maintaining local autonomy while answering to a reformed Senate, the military restructured with proper oversight, corporate influence curtailed through strict regulations, and most importantly, a complete overhaul of the corruption that's plagued the Republic for generations. But he's also careful to frame his own role as temporary, as a necessary emergency measure. I ask for your trust and your authority to implement these reforms. Not as a dictator, not as an emperor, but as a servant of the Republic charged with its transformation. I will serve for 5 years, no more, during which time new systems will be built and tested. At the end of that period, free elections will be held, and power will transfer to whoever the people choose. The speech is met with thunderous applause from most senators. A few, including Mon Mothma and Bail Organa, look troubled, but don't voice immediate opposition. The vote is called, and, by an overwhelming majority, the Senate grants Qui-Gon emergency authority to restructure the Republic. The title they give him isn't Chancellor or President, but First Consul, a term from ancient history. It sounds democratic, temporary, not like the beginning of tyranny, but Qui-Gon knows better. He knows that every dictator in history began with emergency powers and temporary authority. The question is whether he can be the exception, whether he can actually do what he's promised and step down when the time comes. The Jedi Council's reaction is immediate and polarized. When Qui-Gon meets with them to explain his actions, the chamber crackles with tension. He stands in the center, no longer a supplicant, but an equal, and that shift in dynamics is not lost on anyone. Mace Windu speaks first, his voice hard with barely controlled anger. What have you done, Qui-Gon? You've made yourself dictator of the Republic. You've seized power that should never rest in one person's hands. This is everything we swore to prevent. I've done what was necessary, Master Windu. The Republic was on the brink of collapse. Someone had to act decisively, and I was in a position to do so. Would you rather I let chaos reign while the Council debates the proper procedures? There are always proper procedures, Kit Fisto interjects. That's what separates us from tyrants. The moment we abandon law and tradition, we become no better than the Sith. Then perhaps the Sith understood something we don't. Perhaps extreme circumstances require extreme measures. The chamber falls silent at this. Several council members exchange troubled glances. Yoda, sitting in his customary seat, regards Qui-Gon with ancient, sorrowful eyes. Lost your way you have, Qui-Gon Jinn. Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Forgotten this wisdom you have, or perhaps ignored it deliberately. You did. I haven't forgotten, Master Yoda, but I'm willing to risk corruption if it means saving the galaxy. I'm strong enough to wield this power without becoming what Palpatine was. And when my work is done, I'll step aside. You have my word. Words are wind. Young one, actions alone matter. And your actions speak of ambition, of certainty, of the very pride that precedes falling. The council votes on whether to support Qui-Gon's new government. The results are divisive. Roughly a third of the Masters, including many who fought in the Clone Wars and seen the Republic's corruption firsthand, vote to support him. They believe in his vision and trust his intentions. Another third, led by Yoda and Mace Windu, vote to oppose him. They see Qui-Gon's actions as a betrayal of everything the Jedi stand for. They plan to withdraw from Coruscant, establishing a new temple in the Outer Rim, where they can maintain the traditional Jedi way without compromise. The final third abstain or are divided, unsure which path is right. Among them is Obi-Wan Kenobi, torn between loyalty to his former master and his own principles. After the vote, Obi-Wan approaches Qui-Gon privately. The two men stand on a balcony overlooking Coruscant's endless cityscape, the setting sun painting the buildings gold and red. I defended you for years, Master. I trusted you when others doubted. I believed you were guiding the Order toward necessary evolution. But this is too far. Qui-Gon doesn't look at him, keeping his gaze on the horizon. I know how it looks, Obi-Wan. I know what I've become. But if I hadn't acted, Palpatine's plans would have succeeded. The Jedi would be extinct. The Republic would have become a true tyranny. I chose the lesser evil, evil nonetheless. You've seized power, Qui-Gon. You've made yourself what you claimed to fight against. And the worst part is, I think you've convinced yourself it's justified. It is justified. Or at least, it's necessary. There's a difference. Is there? How long until necessity becomes habit? How long until you convince yourself that stepping down would be irresponsible, that only you can maintain order? 5 years. I've set a limit, built-in checks and balances. I will step down, Obi-Wan. I give you my word. The younger Jedi finally turns to face his former master, and there are tears in his eyes. I want to believe you. Everything in me wants to trust that you'll keep that promise, but I can't. I've seen how power changes people, how good intentions pave the road to darkness. You taught me to trust the Force, and right now, the Force is screaming that this is wrong. Then what will you do? I'll oppose you. Not through violence, not through direct confrontation, but I'll work to preserve what the Jedi were meant to be. I'll help those who need it, outside your system, and I'll wait, hoping that you prove me wrong, but ready to act if you prove me right. I wouldn't expect anything less from you. You're the best student I ever trained, Obi-Wan. Your conscience and your courage do you credit. I wish that made me feel better about leaving you to this path. The two embrace, and Qui-Gon feels something break inside him. Obi-Wan's opposition hurts more than all the Council's condemnations combined, but he can't let that pain deter him. He has a galaxy to save, even if it costs him everything he holds dear. In the months that follow, the schism within the Jedi Order becomes complete. Those who support Qui-Gon form the Imperial Knights, though the name is somewhat misleading. They don't serve an empire, but rather the Reformed Republic, and they're given significant autonomy in how they operate. Their mission is to help implement Qui-Gon's reforms while maintaining peace and order. The Traditionalists, led by Yoda and Mace Windu, retreat to Ossus in the Outer Rim. There, they establish a new temple and continue teaching the Jedi Code as it's been practiced for millennia. They accept Force-sensitive children as students and train them in the old ways, free from political entanglement. And Obi-Wan leads a third group, smaller but growing, that rejects both extremes. They don't serve Qui-Gon's government, but they also don't retreat into isolation. Instead, they work at the grassroots level, helping people the system neglects, preserving freedom in places where it's threatened. They call themselves simply Jedi, claiming to represent the Order's true purpose, regardless of politics. The division tears at Qui-Gon's heart, but he pushes forward with his reforms. And the results, at least initially, are undeniable. Within a year, quality of life improves dramatically across the Republic. The war with the Separatists ends not through military victory, but through negotiation, with Qui-Gon offering genuine concessions and reforms that address the grievances that started the conflict. Systems that had left the Republic begin to return, seeing that change is actually happening. Poverty rates drop as Qui-Gon implements massive social programs, redistributing wealth from the corrupt elite to those who need it most. Infrastructure projects employ millions, building schools and hospitals and transportation networks on worlds that had been neglected for centuries. The corporate monopolies that strangled entire sectors are broken up through aggressive enforcement of antitrust laws. The Trade Federation, banking clan, and techno-union find their power curtailed, their influence reduced to legitimate business rather than shadow governance. Corrupt senators face prosecution regardless of their connections or wealth. But there's a darkness beneath these accomplishments. Voices that speak too loudly against the new order find themselves silenced through social pressure and professional ruin. Media outlets that question Qui-Gon's decisions lose funding and access. The secret police, formed to root out remaining separatist cells, begin monitoring citizens for signs of dissent. Qui-Gon tells himself, these are necessary evils, temporary measures, until the reforms take root. But Anakin, serving as his right hand and military commander, grows increasingly troubled. He sees the good they're doing, but also the methods they're using. And he can't shake the feeling that they're becoming the very thing they fought against. One evening, 3 years into Qui-Gon's reign, Anakin can't stay silent any longer. He's just returned from Ryloth, where he oversaw the suppression of protests against the Imperial garrison. The protesters weren't separatist sympathizers or criminals, just ordinary citizens demanding free elections and local autonomy. Master, this is wrong. The people of Ryloth are asking for basic democratic rights. They're not rebelling, they're petitioning. And we responded with armed force. Qui-Gon looks up from the reports he's reviewing, his face weary but stern. We responded with crowd control, not violence. And the garrison increase is temporary, just until the sector stabilizes. Once the new government structures are in place, the military presence will be reduced. You've been saying that for 3 years. When does temporary become permanent? When do we admit we've created exactly what Palpatine wanted, just with better intentions? Don't you dare compare me to Sidious. Everything I do is for the good of the galaxy, not for personal power. I work 18-hour days trying to fix centuries of corruption. I haven't taken a day off in months. This isn't about ego or ambition, Anakin. It's about responsibility. That's what he would have said too. The comparison hits Qui-Gon like a physical blow. His face goes white, then flushed with anger. For a moment, Anakin thinks his master might strike him. But Qui-Gon reins in his temper with visible effort. Get out. I can't look at you right now. Anakin leaves, shaken. He goes to Padme, who's been increasingly vocal in the Senate about the need for Qui-Gon to honor his promised timeline and begin the transition back to full democracy. Their twins, Luke and Leia, are 3 years old now, and Anakin finds himself thinking about the galaxy he's building for them. Is it right? He asks Padme that night, as they watch their children sleep. Everything we've done, the compromises we've made, will it be worth it? I don't know, she admits. The reforms are real. Life is better for billions of people. But freedom, Anakin, freedom matters too. And right now, people are afraid to speak their minds. They're afraid of what happens if they question the first consul. That's not the galaxy I want our children to grow up in. Neither do I. But how do I stop him? He's my master, the man who raised me, who believed in me when no one else did. How do I turn against him? Maybe you don't have to turn against him. Maybe you just have to help him see what he's becoming before it's too late. But Anakin's attempts to moderate Qui-Gon's policies meet with increasing resistance. The first consul has surrounded himself with advisors who tell him what he wants to hear, who justify his every decision, who see dissent as disloyalty. The man who once questioned authority now brooks no questions of his own authority. The breaking point comes 4 years into Qui-Gon's reign, when Obi-Wan uncovers something terrifying: plans for an automated military fleet. The project is buried deep in classified files, but Obi-Wan's resistance network has agents everywhere, including within the military-industrial complex. The automated ships would be controlled by a central AI, capable of enforcing Qui-Gon's will without requiring human soldiers. They would be immune to conscience, to mercy, to the moral qualms that sometimes prevent living beings from following unconscionable orders. And once operational, they would make Qui-Gon's power virtually unassailable. Obi-Wan brings this information to Anakin through a series of encrypted messages. The young man is horrified. He confronts Qui-Gon immediately, demanding an explanation. It's a contingency plan, Qui-Gon says, not even looking up from his work. A deterrent against future threats. The fleet will never need to be used if potential enemies know it exists. It's a tool of oppression, Anakin counters. You'll be able to crush any resistance without consequences, without even having to order real people to do your dirty work. This is exactly what you said you'd never become. The galaxy needs order, Anakin. Surely you can see that. The past 4 years have proven what decisive leadership can accomplish. Crime is down, poverty is down, education and healthcare are up. We've achieved more than the Republic managed in centuries. And we did it because I had the authority to act without endless debates and political maneuvering. And now you're making sure no one can ever take that authority away from you. That's not temporary leadership, Master. That's tyranny. Watch your tone. I'm still your master, and I'm still the first consul of this republic. Are you? Or have you become emperor in all but name? The confrontation escalates until Qui-Gon, in a moment of fury, uses the Force to throw Anakin against the wall. The young man isn't hurt, but the act itself is more shocking than any physical pain could be. Qui-Gon has never used his power against Anakin in anger before. Both of them freeze, staring at each other in horror at what just happened. Qui-Gon's face goes pale as he realizes what he's done. But instead of apologizing, instead of acknowledging the line he just crossed, he doubles down. You will not question me in this manner. I have given everything to save this galaxy, sacrificed everything I believe in. I will not tolerate insubordination, even from you. Anakin picks himself up, his expression closed off in a way Qui-Gon has never seen before. Then I quit. I'm done being your enforcer, your weapon, your justification for tyranny. I'm done. He walks out, and Qui-Gon lets him go. In that moment, he tells himself, it's for the best. Anakin has been compromised by his attachment to Padme, by his sentimentality, by his inability to see the larger picture. The galaxy needs hard men willing to make hard choices, not conflicted warriors who question every decision. But alone in his office, Qui-Gon feels something break inside him. He's lost Obi-Wan, lost the Council's support, and now he's lost Anakin. Everyone he cares about has abandoned him, unable to understand the burden he carries, the terrible weight of keeping the galaxy from falling apart. He meditates on this, seeking guidance from the Force. But the Force feels distant now, muted, as if he's lost his connection to it. Or perhaps it's lost its connection to him. When he reaches out, he feels only his own power reflecting back, not the vast interconnected web of life he once sensed so clearly. This should terrify him, should make him question everything he's doing. But instead, Qui-Gon tells himself, it's just the stress, the exhaustion from years of constant work. Once the reforms are complete, once the automated fleet ensures lasting peace, he'll have time to reconnect with the Force properly. Meanwhile, Anakin does something he never thought he would. He contacts Obi-Wan and offers to help the Resistance. Not to overthrow Qui-Gon violently, but to stop the automated fleet project and force the first consul to honor his promise to step down. Obi-Wan is cautious at first, suspecting a trap. But when they meet face to face for the first time in years, he sees the genuine anguish in Anakin's eyes. The young man is torn between loyalty to his master and loyalty to his principles. And for once, principles are winning. Together, they begin planning. The Resistance has grown larger than the government realizes, with supporters scattered across dozens of sectors. They're not strong enough to defeat the military in open combat, but they don't need to be. They only need to reach Coruscant, to confront Qui-Gon publicly and force him to choose between his ideals and his power. The assault is planned for 5 months later, timed to coincide with the anniversary of Qui-Gon's assumption of power. The symbolism is deliberate. 5 years, the timeline he promised. Either he steps down as promised, or they'll make him. But the plan almost falls apart when Qui-Gon discovers it through his intelligence network. He could crush the resistance easily with the forces at his disposal. One word from him, and thousands would be arrested, the movement destroyed. But something stops him. Perhaps it's the last remnant of the Jedi he used to be. Perhaps it's curiosity about whether he can actually defeat Obi-Wan and Anakin in honest confrontation, or perhaps, deep down, he wants them to stop him because he no longer trusts himself to stop. Whatever the reason, Qui-Gon doesn't order a preemptive strike. Instead, he prepares for the confrontation, assembling his Imperial Knights and readying his defenses. If Obi-Wan and Anakin want to challenge him, he'll meet that challenge head-on. The battle erupts on a clear morning, 5 years to the day since Palpatine's death. Resistance fighters, a coalition of Obi-Wan's Jedi, disaffected military personnel, and citizens who've had enough, attack Imperial installations across Coruscant. They target communication hubs and military bases, trying to create enough chaos to cover their real objective, reaching the first consul's palace. The fighting is brutal but restrained on both sides. Qui-Gon's orders are to use non-lethal force where possible, and Obi-Wan's people are disciplined enough to follow similar guidelines. This isn't a war of extermination but a political statement, a demand for change backed by force. Qui-Gon watches from the palace, seeing his capital burn, and feels a strange sense of relief. Finally, the waiting is over. Finally, he'll face judgment for what he's become. His Imperial Knights deploy to defend key locations, and lightsaber duels break out across the Senate District. As Jedi face former Jedi, Anakin leads a strike force toward the palace, cutting through defenses that seem almost designed to let them through. He's accompanied by clone troopers who've chosen to defect, following their general rather than the first consul. Padme is with him too, having insisted on being present for this pivotal moment. As they fight through the palace's outer defenses, Anakin feels a familiar presence in the Force. Qui-Gon is waiting for him in the throne room, not with an army but alone. It's an invitation to single combat, a challenge that harks back to ancient Jedi tradition. Obi-Wan catches up to Anakin before he reaches the throne room. The two Jedi share a look, understanding passing between them without words. Together, they'll face the man who trained them both, who shaped them into the warriors they've become. Together, they'll try to save him from himself. The throne room is vast and austere, decorated with symbols of justice and peace that now ring hollow. Qui-Gon sits on a simple chair, not a throne, his lightsaber resting across his knees. When Obi-Wan and Anakin enter, he stands, his movements slow and deliberate. "I knew you'd come, both of you. Did you really think I wouldn't sense your approach? We're here to end this, Master." Obi-Wan's voice is steady but sad. 5 years ago, you promised to step down. It's time to honor that promise. Is it? Look at what I've accomplished in those 5 years. The Republic is stronger than it's been in centuries. People are safer, healthier, more prosperous. Would you really throw all that away for an abstract principle? Freedom isn't abstract, Anakin says. And safety at the cost of liberty isn't worth having. You taught me that, Master. Or have you forgotten your own lessons? I've learned new lessons. Power isn't inherently corrupting if wielded by someone strong enough to resist corruption. I've proven that these 5 years, I haven't become Palpatine. I've created something better. Have you? Obi-Wan gestures around the throne room. You sit alone in a palace, surrounded by guards, feared rather than loved. You've lost everyone who cared about you. You've isolated yourself from the Force. How is that better? It's lonely at the top, Qui-Gon admits. But someone has to stand here. Someone has to make the hard choices. If I step down now, who takes my place? Some corrupt senator? A military dictator? The system isn't ready to govern itself yet. It'll never be ready if you don't give it the chance. You've created a system that depends on your wisdom and authority. But that system will fail the moment you're gone. Because you haven't taught people to govern themselves. You've taught them to obey. Then I'll continue teaching. I'll stay in power until a worthy successor emerges. No. Obi-Wan ignites his lightsaber, the blue blade humming to life. You've had your 5 years. It's time to step aside, willingly or otherwise. Qui-Gon's face hardens, and he rises, igniting his own blade. So be it. If you want to remove me, you'll have to do it by force. But know this, I'll defend what I've built with everything I have. And I'm stronger than either of you remember. The duel that follows is heartbreaking in its intensity. Master and former apprentices, bound by years of training and love, now trying to destroy each other. Their lightsabers clash with the sound of thunder. Blue against blue. Technique against technique. Obi-Wan fights with perfect Soresu defense. His form refined to absolute mastery over the past 5 years. Every movement is economical. Every block perfectly positioned. He's patient, willing to defend for hours if necessary, waiting for Qui-Gon to overextend or make a mistake. Anakin fights with controlled aggression, his style a perfect synthesis of power and precision. He's no longer the impulsive boy Qui-Gon trained, but a mature warrior who's learned to temper passion with wisdom. His attacks are heavy and fast, designed to break through defenses through sheer force. And Qui-Gon fights with a style that draws on both light and dark, on emotion and serenity, on every technique he's mastered over decades. His movements are fluid and unpredictable, shifting between defensive and aggressive, between different forms and approaches. He's not trying to kill them. They all understand that. But he's absolutely trying to defeat them. The battle rages through the throne room, destroying furniture and cracking walls. Qui-Gon uses the Force to hurl debris, creating obstacles and hazards. Obi-Wan counters with his own telekinesis, clearing paths and protecting Anakin when he presses too aggressively. Anakin channels his love for Padme and his children into strength, fighting not with hate, but with determination to build a better world for them. As they fight, others arrive. Padme enters, followed by Luke and Leia, now 5 years old and Force-sensitive enough to feel the conflict tearing their family apart. The children cry out, their voices cutting through the clash of lightsabers. "Grandfather, stop. Please. You're hurting each other." The plea from Luke freezes all 3 combatants. Qui-Gon's lightsaber, locked with Obi-Wan's, begins to tremble. He looks at the children, at their tear-stained faces, at the fear and confusion in their young eyes, and through them, he sees himself. as he's become. Not as the wise philosopher king he imagined, but as a tyrant who's convinced himself his tyranny is necessary. Not as a guardian of peace and justice, but as an isolated autocrat who's lost touch with everything that made him Jedi. Not as Qui-Gon Jinn, maverick master who questioned authority, but as the very authority he once opposed. The realization breaks something in him. His lightsaber falls from nerveless fingers, deactivating before it hits the ground. He staggers back, and Obi-Wan catches him before he falls. "I've lost myself," Qui-Gon whispers, his voice breaking. "Palpatine was right. I became what I was fighting against. I just couldn't see it. Didn't want to see it." "You can still come back," Obi-Wan says gently. "It's not too late to do the right thing." Qui-Gon looks around the throne room at the symbols of power he's accumulated, at the system he's built. Then he looks at Anakin, at Padme, at Luke, and Leia. Most importantly, he looks at Obi-Wan, his first and best student, who never gave up on him, even when opposing him. "You're right, all of you. I've held this power too long. Let it change me in ways I didn't recognize. I thought I was strong enough to resist corruption, but I was wrong. The moment I became certain I was incorruptible, that was the moment corruption took root." He walks slowly to the center of the room, where holocam transmitters broadcast across the galaxy. With a deep breath, he begins to speak, his words reaching billions. "Citizens of the Republic, I address you today not as your first consul, but as a man who has failed you. 5 years ago, I promised to step down after implementing reforms. That time has come, and I will honor that promise. But more than that, I must acknowledge the ways I've betrayed the ideals I claim to serve." The speech continues for an hour, Qui-Gon publicly confessing his overreach, his authoritarian methods, his gradual slide into the very tyranny he sought to prevent. He doesn't excuse his actions, but explains them, showing the incremental steps by which good intentions became darkness. It's brutally honest in a way political speeches never are, and it resonates across the galaxy. He announces immediate reforms. The automated fleet project is cancelled, the secret police disbanded, political prisoners released, and genuine elections scheduled within 6 months. He'll remain in a ceremonial role during the transition, providing continuity but not power. And he commits to standing trial for any crimes committed during his reign, submitting to the judgment of the people he claimed to serve. The aftermath is complex and messy, as real political transitions always are. Some in the Republic want Qui-Gon executed for treason. Others want him honored for his accomplishments. The truth, as always, lies somewhere between extremes. The trial takes months, a public reckoning with 5 years of autocracy. Witnesses testify to both the good Qui-Gon accomplished and the freedoms he suppressed. The evidence is damning in places, revealing surveillance operations and political manipulations that were hidden even from his closest advisors. But the trial also reveals something else: that Qui-Gon's reforms, whatever their cost, genuinely improved billions of lives. Systems that had been mired in poverty are now prosperous. Corruption that had seemed permanent has been significantly reduced. And the infrastructure he built, the institutions he established, can serve democracy as well as they served autocracy if properly constrained. The verdict, when it comes, is nuanced. Qui-Gon is found guilty of exceeding his authority and suppressing political freedom. but he's credited with preventing the galaxy from descending into chaos and implementing reforms that would have been impossible through normal political processes. His sentence is exile rather than execution. He'll retire from public life to a world of his choosing, forbidden from holding political office, but free to teach and mentor. Qui-Gon chooses Naboo, full circle from where his transformation began. He establishes a small temple near Theed, taking students who seek a middle path between the rigid Jedi code and the dangers of the dark side. He teaches them the lessons he learned through his failures, emphasizing humility, the limits of certainty, and the importance of questioning one's own motives. Obi-Wan visits regularly, their relationship slowly healing. They never fully recapture what they once had, but they reach a place of mutual respect and affection. Obi-Wan brings news from the galaxy, stories of the new democratic government finding its footing, making mistakes and learning from them. Anakin comes too, sometimes with Padme and the twins. Luke and Leia learn from their grandfather, but in a different way than Anakin did. Qui-Gon teaches them to be wary of power, to question authority, to recognize the signs of creeping tyranny even in themselves. The Jedi Order reunifies, though the process takes years. The three factions, Qui-Gon's Imperial Knights, Yoda's Traditionalists, and Obi-Wan's Independents, slowly find common ground. The Reformed Order keeps some of Qui-Gon's innovations, allowing attachment and emotional connection, but maintains the discipline and ethical framework that prevent Force users from becoming tyrants. Attachment is no longer forbidden, but Jedi are taught to love without possessing, to feel without being controlled by feelings. They learn from Qui-Gon's mistakes, studying his reign as a cautionary tale of how even the best intentions can lead to darkness when combined with unchecked power. The galaxy's new government is imperfect, as all democracies are. It's slow, prone to argument and gridlock, sometimes inefficient, but it's also responsive to the people's will in ways the Republic never was. The reforms Qui-Gon implemented remain, but they're now overseen by elected officials rather than an autocrat. Corporate power is still curtailed, but through legislation and enforcement, not decree. Years pass, and Qui-Gon grows old on Naboo. His hair turns white, his face deeply lined by time and regret. He's forgotten by some, remembered with mixed feelings by others. His legacy as complicated as the man himself. On his deathbed, surrounded by those he loves, Qui-Gon reflects on his life. Obi-Wan sits on one side, Anakin on the other. Padme is there with Luke and Leia, now young adults training as Jedi. Even Yoda has come, ancient beyond measure, to see his wayward student one final time. "I never stopped respecting you, Master," Obi-Wan says, his voice thick with emotion. "Even when I opposed you, even when I thought you'd fallen to darkness, you were trying to save the galaxy." Qui-Gon's voice is weak but clear. "And I never stopped loving you, my old friend. You were right to stop me. I became so focused on fixing the galaxy that I forgot to trust it to fix itself. Power corrupts, not through evil, but through certainty. The moment I became sure I was right was the moment I became dangerous." "Did we succeed?" Anakin asks. "Did we create something better?" "I don't know. But you gave people the chance to create it themselves. That's all anyone can do. Not impose their vision, no matter how noble, but create space for others to find their own way. Build systems that don't depend on heroes, because heroes always fail in the end. Master, what should we remember about you? Luke asks earnestly. Remember that I tried. Remember that I failed. Remember that the greatest wisdom often comes from recognizing your mistakes. Be better than I was. Learn from what I did wrong. And never convince yourselves that you're the only ones who can save the galaxy. That kind of arrogance is where tyranny begins. As Qui-Gon passes into the Force, his consciousness expands into the cosmic force. He sees the galaxy he's leaving behind, still imperfect, still struggling, but alive and growing. Not shaped by his will, but by billions of individual choices, as it should be. His final thought is one of acceptance. He tried to be a hero, and in some ways, succeeded. But he also became a cautionary tale, a reminder that even the best of us can fall when we trust ourselves too much. And perhaps that's the most valuable legacy he could leave. Not a perfect system or a solved galaxy, but a lesson in humility that might prevent the next would-be savior from making his mistakes. The story of Qui-Gon Jinn's reign becomes a fundamental text in the new Jedi Order. Students study his speeches, his decisions, the gradual compromises that led him from Jedi Master to autocrat. They learn to recognize the warning signs in themselves, the thoughts and justifications that precede falling. And the galaxy remembers him not as a monster or a saint, but as a complex man who faced an impossible situation and chose imperfectly. He saved civilization from one form of tyranny only to impose another, gentler, but still wrong. He meant well, tried hard, and ultimately had the courage to admit his failures and step aside. In the end, that admission, that willingness to be wrong and change course, may have been his greatest act, not the reforms he implemented or the battles he won, but the moment he looked at what he'd become and chose to let go. That choice, more than anything else, defined who Qui-Gon Jinn truly was. Not a tyrant or a hero, but a fallible man trying to do right in a galaxy that rarely offers clear answers. That's our theory. The Star Wars universe is a galaxy filled with exciting stories and possibilities, and we love exploring them. If you want to accompany us on this journey to a galaxy far, far away, then please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.